So P0520 is the oil pressure sensor or circuit, and so I went and got an oil pressure sensor. Here's the 0514. That's for the 5.7 liter Hemi. That's what it looks like. It's got the thread sealer on there. It's a pretty straightforward installation. Let's take a look. The sensor is down kind of behind the alternator. So I haven't done this before. I read there are basically two ways to do this, and one way is to take I think it's a 1 9/16 socket, I think, a big socket to fit over the sensor next to the alternator. Let me see if I can get it to focus here. There we go. And kind of down below there, you have to reach in there with a screwdriver and get the red locking clip. I guess similar to what's on this EGR valve right here. You have to kind of, with a screwdriver, push it from one side or the other and then unplug it. And the idea is to avoid taking the alternator off. Well, I think it's going to be a waste of time, at least for me, having never done it before. So I'm going to remove the alternator to get better access to it. So first thing I want to do is remove the intake. This is the tensioner right here, and there's a little square, if I can point to it, there's a little square hole at the bottom of the tensioner. You put your 3/8 drive ratchet in there, so you'll push this way to relieve tension, where you can slide the belt off of the alternator to remove it. So we'll start with that. Next is I'm going to loosen this top bolt here. This is 15 millimeter. Here I have my cheater bar, my jack handle. Boy, that's on there. Oh. Well, I don't think that worked. Okay, let's give this another go. I've got my 1/2" drive with a adapter to go from 1/2" to 3/8. I don't want to over torque the bolt trying to get it out of there. I mean, I don't think it's gonna break off, but at the same time, I don't want to get carried away with it. I just I think my smaller ratchet may not be up to that task, and I don't have a breaker bar. I guess I need to probably get a breaker bar. There we go. That thing is definitely on there. So I'm not going to remove it. I just want to loosen it for now, because there's I think 2 more bolts underneath. I'm going to disconnect the battery because there is a hot lead from the battery up to the alternator, and I don't want to fool around with that arcing against things or whatever. So let's go do that. So on these LX cars, I've read about auto windows and things getting out of whack by disconnecting the battery. I don't have auto up windows, at least I don't think I do. But I do have auto down windows. But anyway, I put all the windows up, sunroof closed and all that, just to avoid any problems. Hopefully, let's get this off of here. There we go. You can take a shop towel, or I just got some paper towels right here. I'll just put this over the top of the battery terminal like that to keep contact from being made between the terminal and the battery. This is a Magnum, but really any car with if the battery's in the trunk like this and you have an electronic trunk release, there's no cable. Make sure you don't close the trunk lid. It kind of goes without saying, but it may not occur to you, or you may slip your mind or whatever. But if you close it and the battery's disconnected, well, then you've got to climb over the seats and hook the battery back up. And so if you can avoid it, don't close the lid. I already put the car up on ramps before I got started. A little tip, I guess. Got two old 2x4s and just put them against the wall right there. So that prevents those ramps from wanting to kick out from under the front tires. It makes it a lot easier to drive the car, a rear-wheel drive car, up onto those. Save you a lot of time. Also, I put my hydraulic jack underneath the front lifting point on the passenger or right side of the car, just for an extra added measure of safety. But do all this at your own risk. And we need to pull the cover off, the bottom cover under here. It's 4 10mm bolts. All right, next I need to remove this front plastic piece under here. There's 10 7mm bolts all on the front, and then there's 4 of these plastic clips. There's one here. Pull that center pin out, and then the whole thing should come out. Be careful with it though, they might be brittle. Let's see if I can get this other one out of here. Yeah, there we go. Kind of work that pin out with my tool here, and then just pull it out. Okay, correction, there's actually 3 clips. There's the one here, and then should be one up there, but mine was missing. I had one on the other side. The other one is right there. There's 10 7mm bolts, so hopefully this will, I don't get a bunch of dirt in my face. Get over here. Hopefully this will just slide out. There we go. I got this feeling this is gonna suck. Go. Or not. I'm gonna try again. Aye. Yep, that thing is moving, but it's definitely tight. I don't know why. I don't know what the torque spec is on that, but it doesn't seem like it needs to be that tight. Okay. Oh, here it comes. Okay. There's the bolt right there. I'm going to be putting some anti-seize on that before it goes back in. Let's see if we can get the other one. It's right back here, right behind it. I've got my cheater bar kind of out on the end because I can't, if I'm straight on, I'm going to hit this radiator support. So I'm hoping if I don't put this up too far on that handle, I'm hoping I can. Nope, I don't think that's going to work because it's just going to want to pop off of there. All right, desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. I've got my floor jack and a 4x4 piece of wood. And so what I'm going to attempt is to use the jack to push on that wrench. Okay. So check this out. That nonsense actually worked, which is pretty awesome. So there's some, boy, that's overexposed, isn't it? Let's see if I can fix that. That's a little better. So there's some oil on there from that sensor leaking. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. See how it's shiny? So even with oil getting in there, it was still, that bolt was still very, very, very tight. Way too tight, in my opinion. So I can say without reservation, that sucked. That was terrible. But I got it done. Let's see what this one looks like. And I guess you don't want them to back off. I still think whatever these were torqued to was way overkill. Yeah, so there's the bolt there. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay. So let me see. I'm just I don't really want to. I don't want to remove the. Yeah, there's the sensor. You see the red locking tab right there. I don't really want to remove any cabling on the alternator. I just want to get it out of the way. I mean, I guess I could, but I'd like to avoid it if I can. How is that clipped? So let's see, for reference. Yeah, so for reference, let me just try to reach, I can't see in there very well. Let me just try to reach in there and push that tab. I got it off of there. There's the connector right there. The way it's oriented, I don't think I'd have been able to get that off. I don't think there was any chance. At least, I guess it depends on which way the sensor is turned, where that clip is. Because it was turned like that way. So it had to be, see, it had to be kind of pushed up towards the top. So I don't, with it turned that way, I don't see how there would have been any way for me to move that red clip without getting the alternator out of the way. So so I got that off, and I guess now I'm ready to pull the sensor out. And lucky me, I was digging through my toolbox. I actually have a 1 1/16 socket. Yeah. Yep, okay, it's turning now. Yeah. Get that dude out of there. There's the old sensor. That looks probably like it's the original one. There's the new one. This is a genuine Mopar part. Not recommended. I would not recommend using the aftermarket ones. I've heard and read that there's they fail pretty regularly. and I didn't trust to order off of Amazon or somewhere like that I would actually get a Mopar part. So I went to the dealer and it was $43 and some change, including tax. That's where the sensor goes. What I did was I pushed you can kind of see it. There it is. I just kind of pushed the alternator up out of the way. So I'm going to try to actually thread it by hand. Okay, the sensor is in there, and it's about as tight as I want to get it. The one that came out I think had about 2 threads showing. It's about what I have here. So the next order of business is going to be cleaning the oil out of the connector on the harness. Let's go up top and do that. So there's the connector, and you can see it's got oil all inside of it. I don't know if it would be bad for the connection, but I'm going to clean it anyway. There were some concerns online on the LX forums or lxforums.com that this could cause a problem. So I'm going to clean it real well with this electronic cleaner. This is not an endorsement. This is just what I've purchased. So we'll use this to clean up that connector. Make sure whenever you get ready to put the harness back on that you route it back over the top, right through here, back over the top of this bracket, but kind of on the driver's side of the EGR valve, because the alternator's got the alternator bolts right to that surface there. So for this to reach, it's got to go kind of around there. Okay, I got the connector put back on the sensor, the alternator reinstalled, and I tightened the top bolt here to 40 foot-pounds with my torque wrench. It's not enough room on the bottom to get a torque wrench on there. I just had my 1/2-inch drive ratchet, and I don't know, it was probably after it bottomed out, half a turn, 3/4 of a turn, maybe a full turn. I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't absolutely kill it, but I don't think you're going to get it any tighter than probably it was before. At least in my case, no, because it was just way over tight and probably seized a little bit. So there is anti-seize on the threads as well. So when the time comes, if that alternator needs to be replaced, should be a lot easier to get out of there. So now I'm going to get the belt put back on. Over the alternator. Now loosen the tensioner. You want to check all the pulleys there. Make sure everything is in line. I can see on the tensioner it's kind of trying to slide off the back. It would probably correct itself, but I want to fix it real quick. So I'll just turn it that way just a little bit. And then just pull the belt back on there. There we go. I think intake tube put back on, and then we'll start it up and check for leaks. I don't see any oil dripping. Let's go check out on the EVIC. That looks pretty good for a cold engine. He was reading 99 psi before, so I think it's safe to say that this is fixed. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know, and we'll see you on the next one.